Hey everybody, I'm back with some more games for you then. Today we're going to be looking at Terran Zerg against another Terran Zerg team. Now this is a bit of a tricky matchup because it's kind of changed as the map pool has changed a little bit, but still the primary strategy most teams are going to be using is Ling Hellion at the very beginning. The only time you probably wouldn't want to do this is if, there's a pocket expansion on the map, but I'm going to get into that in one of the other games later on that I'm going to show you. But in this game, I'd say we just have another familiar face with us, ProTech. And I'd say we're both teams here can be going for more or less the same build, though this Zerg ends up making the mistake of trying to get roaches first, and it kind of causes some problems for his team. Because my partner's able to kill a couple drones and get map control real early, which is the whole reason that you want to go Lings and Hellions to open up. It's fine to do a transition out of that and say get like Marauders or switch to roaches eventually, because once Blue Flame hits, you definitely cannot stay on Lings. You will die. Plain and simple. But we'll kind of get to that in a sec here. So in both cases, you want to go gas first. I kind of discuss this build in the guide then. Gas first is the quickest way to get Hellions out on the map, and if you're doing a Ling Hellion build, you absolutely must do it this way. Now, the only difference you're going to see between the two Terrans in this game is ProTech decided not to wall, and you're going to see this is going to come back and haunt their team like really badly, because things are going to turn out really awful for them when they lose a whole bunch of workers as a result of that. You definitely want to wall off if you can. I'd say on maps with a shared base, the Terran should also try and wall off, but it's not the biggest deal if he tries to do it right away. Alright, and as you can see, he's got a roach warren going up. He did make a couple of lings right at the start, but with some good micro, my partner's able to basically kill all of his lings, and all of a sudden the queen's all alone. As soon as he gets speed done here, let's see how close he is. Yep, I'd say as soon as speed finishes, he's going to have a whole lot of fun just kind of picking off one worker at a time. And really, he's not even up in drones. If you can see this right here, he's only got one more drone than my partner does. And my partner did a 10 point. Quite frankly, if he did, even a 12 point or something like that, he's still going to be able to put pressure on someone who does roaches. Because the roaches just plain don't get out in time. I mean, they have another 20 seconds here. It's almost going to be 5 minutes till you get roaches out. Just no point in doing a roach build right away, because you're really just giving up map control. Because what happens if all of a sudden he's got all these lings and I come in with Hellions and they get caught in the open with a couple of slow roaches and they're just going to die. And we'll just take a look at income so we can keep track of all of the workers in this game. Alright, and then basically just a standard build here. Get your first factory, have the barracks build a reactor for you, lift off the barracks, move a tech lab, build a second factory, etc. And both of us are basically doing the same build. I'm just going to lift that off there, get Blue Flame as soon as I can. Of course, since my partner told me he's going for roaches, I technically should have probably just skipped the second factory and gone Marauder House right then. Oh, looks like we missed a little action, so I'm just going to hop back right about there. Okay, now we'll resume. So you're going to see basically not walling off turns into a real problem. He wasn't paying attention for probably just 2 seconds, and he got surrounded, and all of a sudden we're in his base, able to kill off a whole bunch of workers. So he had like 18 workers a second ago. Now he's down to 3. And you see his partner's roaches can't even get there in time. There's the prime reason why you absolutely must go Lings early on. It's fine to get roaches eventually, like say, once you and your partner are ready to secure and expand and take this open ground here, but before that point, it's really pointless. And my partner, once again, doing some damage over here, killing a couple workers. And this game basically all but over. But since we saw the roaches, I ended up transitioning, started getting some Marauders. And since I already had the tech lab on the second factory, I was like, hell, might as well get a couple siege tanks in here. At least then we can expand safely. And in a minute you're going to see that I do put down an expansion. And I probably could have put it down a little bit sooner, but busy doing other things, so let my macros slip just a little bit. basically that's all you really need to see for this game. From this point on, we're able to easily hold off all the aggression that they can put on. Alright guys, I got the second game loaded up, and I'm going to show you what I should have done in the previous game as soon as my partner told me that there's roaches going to be on the map soon. So basically, once again, my partner's going to do a 10 pool, but one trick that we learned, I'd say between the last game and when we played this one, and I'd say both of these are, you know, pretty old games, but they're still relevant. So we learned that, you know, your Zerg partner can actually get your gas geyser for you, and it'll help you get a little bit ahead in gas. I mean, granted, in this case, he got the gas a little late, because I really should have had it up maybe another 15 seconds sooner. But I'd say either way, it's, you know, it takes a little tension off the Terran then, because he can actually scout without getting too far behind in economy. And I'd say in, you know, pro match, that can make a big difference, you know, that extra mining time and everything you get. Yep, so once again, gas first, enter reactor factory. And the other team is basically going to be doing the same thing. The only difference is this guy tries to get roaches. And if we look at economy here, I'd say he's going to lose 3 drones. So he was, you know, a bit more ahead than he is now. And, you know, that's just kind of one of the problems with going roaches. It's just, they just never get out in time for you to be able to defend yourself. And I'd say with a little bit of a good micro there, you probably could have, you know, sacked a couple more limbs to kill a couple more drones. And I'd say if he didn't miss micro that either, I'd say he could have been taking out those Hellions. We got map control at that point, and my Hellions are now officially across the map. So if he has, you know, 4 or 5 Lings left, between those Lings and my 2 Hellions, we could easily go in here and kill 5-10 workers. So that's another reason that, you know, you really don't want to get roaches. But since he did, I'd say you look at my base. Now I'm going to basically have 3 Marauders and Concussive Shell, plus my 4 Hellions that I first had and 2 more that just popped out. And this is going to be more than sufficient to basically take on what they got right here. And also the fact that, you know, quite frankly, Speedlings are pretty good against roaches out in the open. Because until he gets, you know, say 15, 20 roaches, he can't really ball them up and, you know, prevent himself from being surrounded. Like, this small number of roaches isn't exactly going to trade efficiently with Lings. So all I have to do is make sure that, you know, I can keep the Hellions away from the roaches, and then in that case, we'll be able to win this fight. Just right here, basically I make sure I just take out all of his Hellions, spread out mine as best as possible, because, well, as they say in tournaments, line them up. And then in the meantime, my partner was easily able to take out all those roaches. And then from here, I'd say what you really need to be leery of is kind of tech strategies that happen after this point. It's very common for some teams after they either get Blue Flame or Marauder Hellion to transition to something like Banshee. And you're going to notice down here, yep, he's got Banshee going in a second. I'm going to end up scanning this because I'm like, hey, what are they doing? I was like, they should have more units out at this point. So from there, got my engineering bay down, and I'd say it's okay to get it a little bit late in this matchup if you go gas first to get Hellions, because it's probably going to be at least a minute, usually about 2 minutes delayed. But normally you would want this up if, for instance, you know, the Terran was just going straight to Banshee. You would need this done by no later than maybe 6:15, 6:30 into the game, because turrets take roughly 30 seconds to go. And I mean, there's not really much else to show you guys in this game, so what I'm going to end up doing is just getting into the next game. Yep, so one sec.